All right. Welcome to this month's KeyLit demonstration webinar. My name is Keith Bergstrom. I'm president here at Prestwick House, and I'm really excited to get the opportunity to show you what we're doing with KeyLit, our novel approach to teaching literature using an online program. It seems like teachers have been more and more finding difficulty in engaging students with the big long form books. And our goal is really to help your kids fall in love with the books that we all fell in love with when we were in school. So I'm going to today give you a little bit of an introduction to what our goals were with the program, what you get if you work through us with the subscription, and then log into the program and show you some exact activities and what it looks like when you're actually using the program and going through a series of lessons. So at the end of this program, I'm happy to answer any questions. You can always email me at keith@prestwickhouse.com. I'm always here, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that come up. So let's dive in. Take a look at why we were working on KeyLit and what our goals are as we move forward with this program. We really created this program because we love literature. We love the way that books work in the classroom. We really think that teaching books like The Great Gatsby and Fahrenheit 451 is not only extremely interesting for kids, but it's also really the point at which your kids can get access to all the different skills that they work through in the language arts classroom. So we're trying to help kids be able to dive into the literature and slow down and take a close look at the materials that they are reading. So what we've done with the program is build out a variety of different goals as we were coming on here. We wanted this program to be online, interactive, fun for kids, and really teach the books that they're working on. This isn't a replacement for reading. This is a supplement. This is a tool that helps your students really get the most out of the books they're reading. So our design behind the program is that your kids will read a section of the book and dive into the program and really learn how it works. And that's really what we wanted to make sure that it fit in there. It fit into your classroom. Whether you'd like to use this as a homework assignment, as a kind of half of the classroom assignment, really, we wanted it to be able to fit into the space that you have in your classroom. It doesn't need to replace everything that you do. Really, it should work as a objective supplement to your favorite classroom activities that'll help your kids really fall in love with these books. We wanted it to be able to fit where students are working. If your students are working at home, if they're working in a classroom library, if they all have laptops in the classroom, we wanted to be able to fit into the environment they were working with. And we wanted the program to be based on actually teaching your skills, teaching your students the skills they need to work on their standards-based tests. We're not sitting out there just kind of going, isn't it fun? We're really trying to help your students explore what makes these books great and come out better readers that are able to read and analyze literature to a higher degree in the future. And of course, score well on their upcoming tests. So, and we wanted you to be able to see how well your students are doing in here. We want you to have a view into each individual student. So there are, you can see whether your students did their reading assignments based on kind of purely subjective or purely objective measures of what happened in the course of the text, as well as how they're working and analyzing the test. And then at the end, there is an exam that tests a few key skills as well as the materials, kind of basic understanding of the book that we're doing here. And as I mentioned above, our final goal is really to help your students fall in love with these books. We love literature here at Prestwick House. If you know anything about us, that should be the one thing that you know. We sell thousands and thousands of books, and we really work on trying to help instill that love that we have in your kids. So how do we go about approaching this is we've selected some of the most popular titles. Currently, we have 9 books available. If you have a copy of our demonstration login, you're able to go in and check out the first lesson from all of these books. This is an ever-expanding list. We've got, like I said, 9 titles at the moment, but our goal is to keep on building this and building this. So if you have titles that you love in your classroom, we can continue to grow them. Right now, we have To Kill a Mockingbird, Of Mice and Men, The Great Gatsby, Night, Animal Farm, Frankenstein, Lord of the Flies, Fahrenheit 451, and The Crucible. Just next week, in about a week, maybe a week and a half, we'll be announcing our next title, which is Raisin in the Sun. Hopefully these are books that you know and love and use in your classroom. So what we're doing is really building out all of the big titles that teachers love to use. So if you do become a subscriber, we'd love to hear from you about what books you'd like to be using in the future, so that we can continue to build this program out. I was just talking with a teacher earlier today who had a number of middle school recommendations that they're looking at. So the titles that are currently in production are Raisin in the Sun, Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, Heart of Darkness, and The Awakening. All those titles should be available sometime throughout the course of the summer. We also have Their Eyes Were Watching God, Huck Finn, Scarlet Letter, and The Awakening. We have copies of those being written, and we'll be moving over into the technical material soon. And then we have 1984 Hamlet and Frederick Douglass all in the wings. So we're looking to continually build this universe of literary titles so that your kids have access to the best books. And when you subscribe to KeyLit, you have access to all of these books. So whether you'd like to have different literature groups working in different areas, they can work individually, they can work together. You can have everybody work kind of on one book at a time. Really, we want to be flexible. We want to give you the tools that you can use to share that love of literature with your kids moving forward. So what I want to do is kind of give you a little bit of an introduction to why we decided to organize these books and our lessons in a particular way. We basically built the program around 5 to 10 text-based lessons. It's going to really vary based on the title of the book, but we wanted kids to be able to kind of dive in, be able to focus for about half of a class period, about 20 minutes of work. It's going to vary depending on your student. Some will be able to move through the programs fairly quickly. Some will be able to move through them and need a little bit more time. But we wanted these to be based on what you do around a reading assignment. So we tried to divide the books up into kind of a logical basis. Sometimes that's one chapter at a time. Sometimes that's a partial chapter. So we're looking at maybe about 20 pages of reading assignments in here. Again, that's going to vary dramatically based on the book. If you have a very small book, that'll be different than if you're looking at a large one like To Kill a Mockingbird, for example. So we wanted to make this work within the workflow of you making assignments that allow you to have enough of a deep discussion on a title. After they work through these text-based lessons, we have a summative assessment that was built out in order to give you the chance to teach or check to see whether the kids understood what happened in the text. That's about half of the assignment. It has just kind of a basic understanding of the text. But then what we do is throughout the lesson, we've targeted 3 key skills that are addressed over and over again throughout the course of the unit. Those might be something like characterization, symbols, themes. They might be, they're going to vary depending on the book. And those 3 skills will be addressed in depth in the assessment, where we'll be asking your students to use those skills to go back and closely read sections of the text, and then answer questions along those lines. So we're again being able to identify and help work closely through a deeper understanding rather than just you remember the names of the main characters. And then we wrap the entire lesson up with what we call unlocking meaning, which is a whole book lesson that focuses on those things that don't make as much sense when you're just doing a really tight, close reading of the assignment, and work more at the holistic level, whether that's the big messages, big themes of the book, whether that's tying in with history, literature. It's supposed to make sure that your students are not missing the forest for the trees, so they can really step back and see how the book works as a work of art as a whole. So what I thought I'd do now is take a look at what the goals are in the lesson. So each lesson is designed around a couple of different structured elements here. Our goal is to really give you a chance to do close reading. And that's really the focus of this is every lesson is built around a number of different key quotes from the book. So we work very closely on first of all, just making sure that there's a reading comprehension understanding, scaffolding the analysis of the book that comes in here. So you'll open up the lesson, as you'll see in a few minutes, with a kind of a basic understanding of the lesson. And that also gives your students a chance to work with the materials as they move forward throughout the rest of the lesson. So I'll show you how that works in a few moments here. Our questions really focus on kind of following through the course of the entire book's text moving forward. We really work on quotations, short passages from the text, because reading is really at the core of this program, and making sure that your kids are getting the chance to dive into what makes the books great. We work on critical thinking practice. While all the questions are tend to be multiple choice in here, we work hard on making these not just recall questions. They're built around higher level thinking skills like inferences, analysis. We do have a couple of writing materials that we're working on building into this program, but we want to make sure that they work for you as a teacher, so you're not forced to go in and grade a bunch of writing online. So we have a forum that we'll be releasing soon, so keep your eyes on your inbox on there. And really, it's there not only to ask questions to your kids, but to provide instruction. And the way we do that is working through a series of feedback in here. So we tend to ask you a question, let you explore the text, then we work on defining literary techniques, terms, and really giving your kids direct feedback based on what they've done in the classroom. So as they work through these lessons, they're not only answering questions in order to do a quiz, but they're getting feedback, they're being spoken back to by the program to help guide them through that type of close reading. What I'll do now is dive into the program, show you how that works, get you a chance to see the program as a whole. So let me pull up a login for my demonstration for the webinar. This is my KeyLit webinar classroom I just set up this morning. Every school will have their own space in here. You can see this one is my space called KeyLit webinar. If it might be Smith High School, if you go ahead and log into this program. You may be familiar with the backbone of the program. This is built on the same platform as our Vocabulary Power Plus program that we've been selling for a few years now. So when you log in, your kids will immediately see the class that they're working on. This is my KeyLit master class that I work through here. And what this class has is access to all of the lessons from all of my books. As we take a look at this program, you'll see a book like The Great Gatsby has 9 different lessons in it. As they work through the program, they'll be able to start at the beginning with their 9 lessons, work on the summative assessment, and then after they're done wrapping up that material, they'll have unlocking meaning, which again dives a little bit deeper into the text. And that repeats for every book. You'll look at a book like The Great Gatsby that breaks down very clearly into 9 chapters. That could be the same thing for a book like Of Mice and Men. But if you come across a book like Fahrenheit 451 that has kind of larger parts in here, we decided that the reading assignments made more sense to be divided up. So we have 3 different parts for the first, or 3 different sections for the first lesson, diving into the first part, and then it breaks up in different methods as we go through here. We really wanted to make sure that your kids were able to finish reading the materials and then dive right into getting some feedback and analyzing that. So as I mentioned, when you have this program, we go ahead and we can hide materials. We can make it available to only the books that you're working on at the moment. But you can go ahead and we'll dive in. And let's just take a look at The Great Gatsby, since that's such a popular book here. When you start the lesson, you're immediately introduced to kind of key goals that we're working through here. This is similar to what you do at the beginning of your lesson, where you write up what our targets are on the board. We try to address the students directly and tell them what they'll be experiencing on here. They can see exactly how many pages they have to work through. Like I said, the program is designed to take about 20, 25 minutes. So if you spend about a minute per page, that's where you'll end up in here. Some will be much shorter, some will be a little bit longer in here when you're trying to dig through programs. So in this lesson, our goal is to explore the setting, examine the structure of the text, analyze the point of view and narrator, interpret the mood, study Fitzgerald's big ideas and messages, and evaluate Fitzgerald's use of specific words and phrases. So right off the bat, you know that you're addressing some of the big topics like characterization, mood, and theme and big ideas as you go through here. So every lesson opens up with kind of a low stakes, we call it a warm-up activity. This could be anything from an opinion question or something that really sets the theme and sets the tone for what we're diving into. So here we have a quote from Robert Evans that says, "There are 3 sides to every story: your side, my side, and the truth." And that brings up the concept of the reliable narrator or the unreliable narrator, and starts us thinking about the concept of Nick in the course of The Great Gatsby. So here we have a question. And again, the idea is we don't want to start off with right off the bat making your kids think that this program is a test, an assessment that they're forced to dive through and really add stress to their lives. We want to open up with something that feels very soft. So you have an opportunity to agree, disagree, or say you're not sure. So when you move through here, our basic format is after you have completed a question or maybe a series of questions, we provide feedback, which is the direct answer to the materials that we've just answered in here. So here we have the kind of this one, because it's an opinion question, just introduces the material. But if we had a fact-based question, it would have the exact answers, so your students know what they're working on here. And then a keep in mind section. The keep in mind is designed for us to move forward into the next section. What are we paying attention to? This is where we're introducing topics and really teaching the kids, even though they don't feel like they're kind of getting a major data dump right off the bat. So here we're introduced to literary topics like the first person point of view and an unreliable narrator right off the bat. So we started off by teaching your kids the skills that we're going to do and kind of begin to work through. So after we've done an introduction activity, we have what's called a main events chat section. The main events always have 6 sections and work to do 2 things. They they help your kids understand, give you an opportunity to look at your kids' scores and see which kids had a basic understanding of the plot level events of the story. So it's a great reading check material. If you go and you see little Billy didn't know kind of basically what happened in the course of the course, you'll know that they didn't do their reading or are having significant problems with just basic plot level understanding. You'll see that this is a drag and drop activity where we can just move the orders in these questions into a specific order. And then that becomes a summary for the kids. They're right off the bat getting the book's basic story summarized. One of the challenges we have with an online program like this is we don't want your kids to be able to get 0 value out of that. If they did skip their reading materials, they weren't able to get their reading done. So we want to give them just a little bit of that scaffolding and give them some basic information about what happened in the course of the chapter that will help them get something out of this lesson as they dive a little bit deeper into the text. So our feedback, again, just summarizes what happened in the course of the chapter for this one, and then moves on to pointing out, again, a new literary term, exposition, is in here. So we're teaching the key literary skills in a voice that's kind of talking back and forth in a friendly manner with the kids. And then we kind of get into the bulk of the material. So every lesson will have a different set of goals, but they'll have the same structure. So if you're letting your kids do this as homework material, or if your kids are just sort of spread across the classroom working on at their own pace, they'll know what they're coming to. They're going to understand where they stand in the course of the material. If they need to take a break, leave, they can go ahead back out of the program. But they'll understand our quotes. Our materials are based on kind of key quotes in here, and you're going to find all of the big quotes that you're familiar with within the book here, and let you understand and analyze these. So here we have a question on Nick as a narrator. How would we feel? Nick believes his accounts are accurate and objective, but do we believe that as we go forward? So we'll go ahead and dig into the character of Nick Carraway. You'll see we try to have a variety of different question types, but all of our questions do have kind of a computer scored answer. We did not want you to have to go into the program after your kids have written through there and read pages and pages of materials in here. We wanted you to be able to get a quick view. So you'll find true and false questions. We really try to vary it up so your kids are thinking in different paths through here. But they're all based around the idea of let's read a quote from the book and respond to it. So moving through the book in here, I'm going to go ahead and just sort of skip over a couple of different question types. You see after each section, we've introduced and we've asked a variety of different questions about Nick Carraway, our narrator. And then we're providing feedback. We're coming back into understanding what you need to keep in mind. We're summarizing, giving people the answers to the types of questions they just came across, and making sure that we're cementing the things that they've learned by doing a close reading as they work through the text. So again, our keep in minds always focus on what's coming up. What are the skills we need to have? What should we be paying attention to as you move forward throughout the course of the book? So We've looked at a little bit of characterization. Our second section in here, we're paying attention to setting. East egg versus west egg. How are we getting divisions in here? And again, sometimes you're going to have quotes that are part of the question. How do we find which quotes are tied with the material they're looking for? As they go through the program, your kids are getting feedback as they move through the program. So we try to make sure we illustrate, make this a fun program. So you can drag and drop in this particular activity. What are the traits of Tom Buchanan in this one? So after your kids have worked through this program, I'm going to go ahead and skip over it. I'll just kind of give you a quick chance to scan through it. This is the first lesson, so your demonstration accounts have access to all of these. And if you don't have a demonstration account, I'll go ahead and get you set up as we when we're done with the lesson here, with the webinar. So our lessons in this case dives into Daisy a little bit. Nick, we're introduced to the symbol of the green light, colors that happen in here, and then the end of our book, end of every lesson, summarizes the materials that we learned. So we open up with saying, what are we going to learn? Now we come back here and we're analyzing what we've learned over the course of the lesson. The characters and main events that your students have interacted with, what literary terms we worked on, and paying attention to some of these ideas. This works as kind of a cliffhanger for what you want to pay attention to as you move into the next chapter. So it also lays out the materials moving forward. And once your student has submitted all the answers, they'll go ahead and they'll be able to go back and look at their scores, see what they got correct, what they got incorrect in here. If they did poorly in the different sections, you can go back and say, hey, where did we have a problem in here? Our goal with this is that it is a formative assessment in here. It's not kind of a chance for you to have a kind of a gotcha moment. So we want students to be able to go back, review, take a look at what they've learned, and we work on the kind of final summative assessment as our final materials as we go through here. So that's kind of the basic focus and goals of each of these lessons. You're going to be able to go ahead and try those out. I did want to let you know for a new material that we'll be releasing very soon. We're also adding a discussion board to every lesson so your kids can interact with each other. They can get some writing, they can pull different materials out. So this particular discussion board leaves everybody open to making a comments, ask questions to people, whether it's the teacher, whether it's other students in here, and we give them some prompts on what types of topics your kids will do in case they can say, I don't know what to write about this. Well, we can ask specific questions. Once they've submitted materials, they can see what other kids have written, and then you can work on that as an opportunity just to see those discussions. So we really like that way that remains a low stakes opportunity for your kids to dive in a little bit deeper in there, that they're not kind of working through on a test material. So that was kind of a quick introduction to how we approach any of these books. They're all going to follow that same approach where we're really diving into a variety of different quotes. As you move further in the book, you're going to see things working a little bit differently. Every book has its own unique approaches. Books like Night are nonfiction, so we work less on kind of characterization and theme and things like that, although it does work very well in Night, and work a lot on language use. So every book will have its own different focuses, it will have its own different approaches, but it all follows that same format where you are introduced to what you need to do over the course of the lesson. Then you move into a fun warm-up activity. Then you move into a summative or an assessment of your reading. Then you dive into playing with the text as you go through here. So we really think that your kids will, when they're done working through this material, understand the books at a much deeper level than they already do. So that's my quick introduction. As you go ahead and poke through the program, you may have some questions. I'm happy to answer them as you go forward. I want to dive back into my presentation because I kind of want to run into a couple other questions. The big question I normally get from people at this point in time is how much does this cost? We do build this program based on the size of your course, of your classroom. If you have smaller classes, less than 250 students, it's normally $19.99 retail price, but as we have kind of our introductory pricing going on right now, it would be $14.99 per student. And that does get you access to all of the different book materials that are out there. And the price goes down as you go ahead and look at larger schools. We do have some restrictions. We don't have this set up for homeschoolers or for extremely small classes. It does take a little bit of infrastructure and setup when you go ahead and get the program rolling to make sure that this works. So we do have a minimum of 50 students in order to get your school set up. So if you have any questions, you'd like to get a demonstration account set up, my email address is included here at the end. It's keith@prestwickhouse.com. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now. If anyone has any questions, I'll go ahead and answer questions as we go along. If you are viewing this later, which I know many of you are, it's getting towards the end of the school year, please feel free to reach out to me and ask me any questions. I'd love to hear from you. We are in the process of trying to get everyone settled with quotes and materials here at the end of the school year. I know it's kind of time to make all the big decisions on what's going to be purchased over the course of next summer. So if you'd like me to get a personalized quote for your school, please just let me know. It'll help. We can go ahead and change the number of students around. We can kind of get you everything you need moving forward. We are also working with a couple of different schools on trying to figure out ways to get really great prices on books. If you know Prestwick House, we have all of these books as well as thousands of others. So if you are looking at a literature program to be purchased in conjunction with these, we could probably give you even better price than we normally do. So please reach out and give us the opportunity to set up a quote for you. I think you'll be excited at seeing what this program can do in your classroom. So thank you for the time here. We just hit our 30-minute mark. So I'm going to go ahead and pause my share, and I will be hanging around for just a few moments if any questions come up. Thank you again, and it was great getting a chance to talk to you.